Alright everybody, welcome back! The summer update dropped yesterday, and I figured what better way to kick off this update than with my personal favorite jet of the patch, the F-15, and specifically the F-15J. Yes, they did fix the name, it's no longer the fictional F-15J Kai, thank goodness. This is Japan's newest top tier, and it's actually the final F-15 they can get, believe it or not, unless they decide to go ahead and give them the prototype F-15JSI, which is a possibility, but that's not the point of today's video. This thing is currently in modern day service with the Japanese Air Force. It has a ton of room for upgrades, and even as it stands right now, it is the best F-15 in the game. So starting off with the missile kit, which of course is the most important thing of a top tier jet nowadays, it's just flat out better than the F-15C. Currently, it has equal radar missiles because the AAM-4 as of time of recording is actually worse than the AMRAAM. That may be changing, so just keep an eye on the change logs and everything else to see if that does change. But as of now, it has equal radar missiles. Of course, it has the AMRAAM-A, 8 of them, just like the F-15C, or at least you can carry up to 8. I would not recommend doing a full load of 8. And of course, it also carries the AAM-3, which is a flat-out better AIM-9M. It doesn't really pull that much harder, but it has a greater range. Technically, it does also have better IRCCM, because it has the same type of IRCCM currently, but what it does is it blinks like instantly whenever it sees flares. Realistically, though, you're not going to notice an actual difference in-game when it comes to the two missiles, but it is just something to consider. AMRAAM, of course, is the big thing for the update. It's what everyone is excited about, and these missiles are really, really good. I mean, they're 35 Gs. They're, in my opinion, the all-around best radar missile as of right now. And yeah, my friendly just figured that out with its nice little team kill. But of course, these are active radar homing missiles, and if you've been living under a rock and don't know what that means they have their own radar seeker head built into the missile, so even if your radar isn't locked onto the target, it can still guide itself in as long as it's close enough. And these are going to lock on at roughly 16 kilometers, maybe a bit closer depending on conditions. They have greater effective range than the AMRAAMs, and especially now because they changed the multipath height. If you haven't seen my video, I recommend going ahead and checking that out. It's not at 50 meters, but it is still at 60 meters. It's possible to still use it to help yourself, like I'm about to do it here to dodge this missile, but depending on exactly which map you're on, it is incredibly difficult, and some it's basically impossible to use it on. So you can actually engage from farther away now and have a relatively decent chance of the missile actually hitting, assuming the target doesn't actually go defensive, which a lot of people don't know or aren't able to go defensive. This is 16 versus 16 after all, and so for all you know, they have someone else shooting at them from a completely different angle that they're already trying to notch. This is current top tier after all. But the benefits don't just end with the missiles, it does also have better flight performance than the F-15C as well, and this is pretty simple. So in the American tree, when you're going from the F-15A to the F-15C, it is both heavier, and for Air B at least, the engines are worse. So they do have more thrust at high altitudes and high airspeeds, as you can see right here. But at the deck, the thrust doesn't exceed the thrust of the F-15As until 1,200 kilometers an hour, and even then the thrust-to-weight ratio never exceeds that of the F-15A. Now, as you get to super high altitudes, that changes, but realistically, that's not actually going to matter in War Thunder. On the other hand, the F-15JM does still have those same engines, but it is at least 440 kilograms lighter than the F-15C. This gives you an increase at every speed of 0.05 in terms of your thrust-to-weight ratio, and for normal ARB, it won't really matter that much, but on the off chance you do happen to get into a 1v1, a competent F-15JM pilot is going to win every single time. And that's actually just for now. There's another advantage that it may get in the future, and that is actually a MAWS, or Missile Approach Warning System. If you've played the F-111 before, or one of the other newer aircraft that have gotten, like the Harrier GR7 for example, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But a MAWS actually warns you whenever, like for example, an IR missile is fired behind you. It doesn't matter if it has a radar lock on you or anything, it will still tell you if the missile is launched. You can also go ahead and sync up your flares to fire automatically with the MAWS. I usually don't do it, I turn that off, but I still leave the warning on, and that really helps, say for example someone sneaks up on me from behind. It doesn't have it right now, but it's likely to get it in the future. I have a feeling that right now at least they decided not to give it partially just because it's already better than the US one, they don't need to make it even more so. Realistically, the only way I see them giving it that is if they decide to go ahead and give the US F-15C its BOL pods. The problem is that would give it a total of 880 countermeasures, which would be, frankly, quite ridiculous. Either way it goes, all of the new F-15s are going to be very good. Just, I would personally recommend going for the Japanese one if you're going to get any of them. They just do everything very well, and in my opinion, they are the most well-rounded and probably the best ones of the update, I'd say. If you want to do BVR like I'm doing right now, they're completely capable of doing that with the ability to carry up to 8 radar missiles, although I would do 6 and 2 like I'm doing right here. And all that extra high-speed, high-altitude thrust does actually help you if you are trying to do BVR. Like here's a perfect example right here. I have a guy who is trying to joust with me. I keep turning, getting into the notch, popping some chaff. If you don't know what notching is, by the way, I'm putting the missile off my wing just to make sure that it's a 90-degree angle and the closure rate between me and the missile is minimized as much as possible. That lets it eat the chaff. He is also going to defeat my missile, and I'm just going to go ahead and turn back in and fire off another one. He is going to defeat that one as well, and we're just going to keep doing this until he decides to run away. That has been the 1v1 BVR gameplay loop. It's fully what we were expecting. Realistically, what's going to happen is if you have two competent players, they're just going to keep each dodging each other's missiles until they get close enough to merge, or they just run away like this guy did right here. And these new activator homing missiles, assuming the guy isn't actually locked onto you with his main radar, they are relatively easy to chaff for the most part. I will say, if your missiles aren't hitting quite as much as you'd like, try maintaining lock with your actual radar, like a hard lock, because these missiles still do have data link, and you can steer them in, their seeker in the correct direction. All in all, though, I probably won't be playing much top tier air for quite a while, just because patch day and patch week top tier is usually pretty terrible with everyone trying to grind everything out. I had a horrible experience trying to play this vehicle, not gonna lie. I'm gonna wait a little bit longer and then come back once everything has cooled down somewhat. I do want to say, because there's a pretty decent chance I might get some new people with this video, if you haven't seen my channel before and you like what you saw here today, feel free to go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I publish videos typically twice a week, and I'll be covering as much of the new patch content as I can. There is a lot of it, so let me know in the comments down below what y'all would like to see next. Last but not least, I would just like to say if y'all are thinking about purchasing anything in War Thunder in the near future, and you're looking for a discount code, and you don't have a specific decal that you want, my discount code is in the link in the description. Feel free to use it to get 3% off. It helps me out as well. Just keep in mind, I don't have a decal yet. So if you decide to go ahead and do so, then you will not get a decal, and you also will not get that decal whenever it does go live. You'll have to purchase again if you wish to do so. So if all you care about is my decal, wait. Hope y'all have a great day, though, and peace, y'all.